All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we're going through Proverbs 9, verse 7. Let's get it. Whoever corrects a scoffer gets himself abuse, and he who reproves a wicked man incurs injury. So, interpretation of this, trying to fix people will cause you to hurt yourself. If you do it, there must be something in you that has normalized experiencing that pain. So, here's my hypothesis. I think when we all try to fix people, a lot of times let me not generalize this to all of us. Let me generalize it to myself. So it's not that general, it's very specific. um in the past, my goal of raising the standard of living across the world to middle class America so that nobody went without food, so that everybody had more than enough food, shelter, water, and safety, came out of a pain that I experienced that I wanted to fix for myself. And because I experienced that pain, I didn't want other people to experience that pain, right? Since then, it has shifted of I don't want to fix the pain of others necessarily, but I do want to walk through that pain with them. So I'm not called to fix people, I'm not called to save people, but I am called to bear burdens with people. And so I had some pain I experienced. Wasn't allowed to live my dreams and goals. I wasn't encouraged to be authentic. And so now I want to go do that for other people because I wanted to fix that pain in myself. But as I've started to fix that pain in myself, and I still have a long way to go, don't get me wrong. So this may change 10 years from now. But as I've started to fix that pain for myself, I've realized how many people even want that problem to be solved for them, like food, shelter, water, safety. Obviously, you'd think a lot of them do, but those are very practical issues. And really, the thing that they want solved is the emotion behind it, the emotional pain that they're experiencing, the mindset they have behind it. And don't get me wrong, going hungry sucks. So having enough food is great. Having more than enough food is great. But those aren't the only problems. That's like the tip of the iceberg. It's the problem solving that allows us to bear burdens with people, bear the real burdens with people, right? Like food, easy problem to solve. Water, easy problem to solve. Shelter, easy problem to solve. Safety, less easy of a problem to solve because, humans you can't control, but also a solvable issue. But the longing, the emotional pain we all experience, the human experience, right? Bearing those burdens together, that's really important. So I've shifted from trying to fix people and fix their situation to really setting myself up well to bear burdens with people, which allows me to do it along the way with people that I encounter. And so when I was trying to fix people, I was really living under the notion that I couldn't have it myself. And so if I couldn't have it, well, let me at least make a world where other people can have it. And now that I am allowing myself to have it, now that I have a different belief system and I have a different kind of self worth and audacity to go after what I feel, um, you know, is for me, basically, what I feel I've been put here to do. I have the audacity to go after it now. Um, I'm not really in that. I can't have it, so let me get it for other people. I'm like, I'm going after it. Come with me. Like it's so exciting. It's so beautiful. And I want to see you in your element too. And so that goes from I'm trying to fix people so I can live vicariously through them because I'm not allowing myself to live it, to I'm going after it whether you come or not, but I hope you come along for the ride because it's going to be a beautiful one and so much more beautiful with you there. And so that's kind of how trying to fix people has caused me to hurt myself. There was a limit I was having and a limit that I was giving myself that I couldn't break through personally. And because I couldn't break through it, I didn't want to deal with that. I would go to other people and I would try to help them break through their limits. I was like, hey, if you just do this, if you just go after this, you'll experience this. Because that was the story I wanted to believe for myself. But because I couldn't, I wanted them to believe it so that I could prove to myself that it's possible so then that I could go do it. Instead, I should just address that pain in myself, address those limits in myself, and go do it for myself. And through letting my own light shine, I give others permission to do the same, right? So I'll be an example that will inspire other people to go after their dreams and goals. And so, yeah, in trying to fix people, I was hurting myself because I was reinforcing the limits that I was placing on myself and neglecting the pain that I was experiencing. When I chose to face that pain, when I chose to face those limits and start to, do the work of getting awareness, sitting with the emotion, and then holding myself accountable to choosing something different. Um, yeah, it's and then giving grace in the process, right? That whole process of doing the inner work and really, I mean, we say inner work like it's something really out there, but it really is. You get awareness. After you get awareness, you don't judge it. And after you get awareness and you don't judge it, which means you've accepted it, the energy starts to dissipate. It starts to clear it up just kind of naturally. You realize, oh, this was like from when I was 6 and my parents wouldn't give me money for Reese's at the store. And it's like, that's not really what my life looks like. So it loses its power over you once you get awareness and you don't judge it. And then it frees you up to choose something else. And the process of not judging it and then getting that energy out, it may be, I don't know. For me, it's really working out or taking massive action in business. For others, sometimes it's walks, prayer walks also helps me get the energy out. Meditating on my dreams and goals, meditating on the possibility of what can be helps me redirect that energy and get that energy out. For some people, it may be screaming, some people, it may be dancing, some people, whatever gets you in your element and gets the energy flowing in your body. Maybe the thing that kind of is that healthy outlet, that healthy coping mechanism is more mainstream words for it, right? But yeah, that's how trying to fix people caused me to hurt myself because I was just reinforcing pain and pain patterns in myself. And that's because there was something that I had normalized. I had normalized those limits that I'd placed on myself. I had normalized the fact that a good life wasn't for me. So let me at least help other people get it. But now it's like a good life is for me and you too. So let's go after it together. You guys get that shift? So the entrepreneurial application of this, that was a long interpretation section. I go to phase two, identifying and releasing those negative feelings. Like I had ways that I felt about myself that I had to release. I had to face it, be aware of it, accept it, and then choose to act otherwise. And it's a process of awareness, acceptance, and then choosing something different. Awareness, acceptance, choosing something different. And then through there, you'll realize, okay, even though I'm aware and I've accepted it, I'm now choosing something different and I'm hitting some friction. That means you need to start releasing some of it. And so you need to be aware, you need to accept, but you need to release its hold over you by, releasing that energy however you do it, whether it be working out, screaming, hiking, meditating, going hard on your business goals, getting around better people, all of these things can play a part, but it just keeps you in the right frame of mind. And as you feel it, you can release it. And as you feel it, you can release it. And it really is a unique process. I don't even have a full grasp of it myself, but I know when I'm feeling antsy or I'm feeling some type of way, I can go lift some weights. And when I lift some weights, it makes me feel better. I can go do some work. I can go talk to somebody I love. I can go talk to somebody about their dreams and goals. Another way to release that energy is just stop entertaining it. Like when you have that energy, maybe you feel lazy. So you do lazy things. Instead of that, have that energy and then use the potency of it. I think Napoleon Hill calls this like he calls it sexual transmutation. He's like feel the sexual energy you have and then transmute it and focus on an activity. If you can feel that emotion and then focus it and redirect it towards something else, for me, it's getting into my service zone of helping people with their dreams and goals. When I feel that energy, I feel a lot of negative energy or I feel antsy or whatever it may be, I can either work out, I can go help somebody with their dreams and goals, or I can go have a conversation that helps somebody get further, or go do work that gets me further. All of those things help me redirect that energy and release that energy in a way that is good for me. So the question is, how is it good for you? So identify and release those negative feelings. That's the entrepreneurial application. Because if you do that and you redirect it towards your work, towards your business, towards developing the people around you, your business will grow. Phase 10 talks about cutting those negative influences and building those positive influences. If you surround yourself with people who you have to fix because you're hurting yourself, and so you're trying to live vicariously through the people you're trying to fix, those are going to be the negative influences that hold you back because they're reinforcing those limits. They're reinforcing that pain. If you surround yourself with positive influences that encourage your growth, encourage facing that pain, breaking through those limits, getting aware of the factors in your life that are holding you back, not judging them, and then choosing differently, and then helping you release that energy and redirect it towards positive outcomes, Those influences will help you break past your limits, help you get to the business goals that you want. And so really talks to who you're surrounding yourself with, because you could surround yourself with a bunch of scoffers and a bunch of wicked people who will hurt you because you're trying to fix them. Or you could surround yourself with wise people who lift you up, right? And so this has shown up in my life with my little brother. I wanted to correct his action for the longest time, and then eventually I just shifted to, I'm not going to correct your action. I'm going to become more focused on myself. That allowed me to grow in wisdom, so that when I correct or reprove myself or receive it from others, I take it as a wise person would. And trying to correct my brother, I would find myself in really precarious situations. Like, I was trying to walk with him through his life when, I was hurting. My life was empty. And we would have random stuff. Like, I found myself at a car wash because he was at a car wash. And I was like, do I really need to be working at this car wash? Well, I want to spend more time with my brother. Well, it's like, we didn't even spend that much time together. It wasn't quality time. It wasn't intentional time. It wasn't focused time. And yes, there was merit there, but there's also merit to stepping into those situations with people when you're prepared to do so. And I wasn't prepared to do so. It would stress me out. I was still broke. I had my own dreams and goals that I wanted to fulfill. So instead of coming from a place of strength where it's like, yeah, I'm solid, let's help get you solid to the extent that you'll let me, which is what Proverbs talks about in verse 8 and 9. You can't give instruction to a wise man, he'll be still wiser. Give instruction to a foolish man, and he'll hate you. Reprove a scoffer, he'll hate you. Reprove a wise man, he'll love you, etc., etc. So I can help him to the extent I can, but I have to be able to help him, which means I have to come from a place of strength. So if I'm worried about my dreams and goals, I'm worried about my emotions, how on earth can I take from my basically empty cup and pour into his cup? No, you got to take from the overflow, which means you got to be right with God. You got to be right with your finances if that's what you're giving. You can't take debt and then give other people's money. That's not good financial sense, right? And so all of this stuff, I was trying to help my little brother when I wasn't allowing myself to be helped, or I wasn't accepting help for myself because I had limited myself. And so when I start to focus on myself, grow, and as I continue to grow, I'll be able to go back and help him from a place of strength instead of just making both of our lives miserable. The other way this has shown up in my life is my mission and where it stops. So, like I said earlier, before I wanted to change people, right? Now I walk alongside them and love them, not trying to change them, not trying to change their life. I want their life to be better because I know they can be better. But if that's where they want to be, I want to be able to walk alongside them and love them without it negatively impacting my life. And not even, sorry, let me correct that. I don't even mind the negative impact, how we would perceive negative, but I don't want it to take away from higher priorities. Like if it takes away from my relationship with God, gotta go. If it takes away from my relationship with my family, gotta go. If it takes away from my mission and calling that God has called me to, it's gotta go. Right. And so until I'm strong enough to walk alongside a person and love them, strong enough with God, strong enough in my walk with my mission, and strong enough with my familial and friend relationships, I can't walk alongside them. But yeah, it's shifted from changing people to walking alongside people and loving them. And so, you know, it's more getting the infrastructure together so that I can do that consistently, as opposed to how can we get you from point A to point Z? It's like, you don't even have to move from where you are. I'm going to make it so I can walk with you forever, exactly where you are. And I think doing that, relationships over time will naturally change people. And if they don't, I don't have to have the expectation that it will. Because I think when you carry that expectation, it goes from unconditional love to conditional love, right? It's like, well, I got you for 5 years. I can walk alongside you for 5 years. If you haven't changed in 5 years, I got to go. No, it's like, I can walk alongside you literally until death. And you don't have to change a bit, because I will just choose to love you. And I have the strength, the resources, the trust in God, and the community support to do that, right? I think that's a really cool thing. So where do I want this to show up in my life? I would say loving the parts of myself that act as a scoffer or wicked. I talked earlier about you get awareness, you don't judge, and then as you do that, the energy and the limits will dissipate and it'll produce freedom to choose something else. So I've started that process, I've done that process for myself, but there's still parts of myself where I judge. And I would say most negative self-talk comes from correcting or reproving ourselves. And it's funny because Proverbs here talks about whoever corrects a scoffer gets himself abuse, and he who reproves a wicked man incurs injury. And so when you're reproving the parts of yourself that are wicked, you're injuring yourself. When you are correcting the scoffer in you, you are abusing yourself. And so you need to talk to the parts of you that are wise, reprove and correct those parts, and you'll love yourself for it. But for the parts of you that are a scoffer, for the parts of you that are wicked, choose to love yourself. And then love yourself into being wise, love yourself um into dissipating that wickedness and redirecting it towards wisdom. And then you'll be able to reprove yourself. But you got to love yourself first. And so once you extend that love for a long enough time, it'll dissipate. And then you can redirect that energy, redirect those limits to abundance, redirect that energy into positivity, and you will be able to then reprove yourself. But you can't discipline. Oof, I'm getting into the next podcast. Anyway, you can't discipline yourself when there's no like trust there. There's no love there. There's no acceptance of yourself there. It's like you'll constantly be fighting yourself. Once you love yourself, once you accept yourself, and you start to understand grace and how you can apply it to yourself, you can then reorient towards a bit of discipline, because it's literally the gospel, you know. Until you realize how much you're loved, you cannot go out and love others. Like, we have a command as Christians to bear burdens together, to go out and love as we've been loved, to pick up our cross and follow Christ. But we can't do any of that on our own strength. The only reason we can do that is because Christ first loved us. And because we know how much we're loved, we can go love. And because we know how much we're loved by God, when God tells us to do something, we are happy to do it. Bear burdens with people. Naturally, you wouldn't want to do that. But when you realize that God sent his son to bear the ultimate burden with you, you're like, all right, bet. I'm going to go bear burdens with people. So similarly, Christian or not Christian, you have to choose to love yourself first. And as you choose to love yourself, when you give yourself a command, you are more likely to follow through. But until you know that you're loved and that your relationship with yourself is right, you're not going to obey yourself, because you're being a rebellious child who's trying to protect themselves because you don't feel protected with yourself. You don't feel safe with yourself. So, anyway, get off my soapbox now. Love the parts of myself that act as a scoffer or wicked. That's where I wanted to show up in my life. And how can you guys apply it to your life? Well, love the wicked parts of yourself instead of judging them. Get that awareness, acceptance, release that energy as you need to, and then redirect that energy as you need to, and give yourself grace in this whole process. That's what we got for you guys today on the show. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you on the next one. And on that note, we're out.